Morning everyone, welcome back to the channel and a welcome back to Home Fen. Now don't panic, I'm not doing any woodland macro photography, doing something a bit different. If you look behind me, we got some fog and mist. Fantastic, so the macro lens has stayed at home. The downside is my alarms went off at 4 o'clock this morning. Didn't get to bed till 1, so I've had 3 hours sleep. I look like death warmed up, I'm sure. Now what I would say is, other than being absolutely shattered, it kind of leads me onto what I want to talk to you guys about today already. I'm going to come straight onto the topic. And that is the sacrifices we have to make for our art. The sacrifices we have to make for photography. Now, Mrs. S reminded me of this fact last night when I was looking at the Met Office, just checking the weather. This was about 8 o'clock last night, and sorry, just making sure I'm not missing any compositions. I said, oh, do I really want to get up so early in the morning? And she was like, sacrifices you have to make. So 3 hours worth of sleep. Now, I will say that was when the alarms went off. Didn't actually rock up out of bed till about 20 to 5, to be honest with you, because I checked my office as soon as I woke up. No signs of fog on there. So I lay back in bed, dozed off, and for some reason woke up with a startle about 4:30. Looked out the window, it was a little bit misty, checked my office, fog. So I was like, yes, got up, got ready, and I've come down here. Now, I want to talk more about other sacrifices that we have to make for photography. Now, I'm mainly going to talk about the aspects of landscape photography, woodland photography, things like that, because that's obviously what we're doing today. But a lot of these actually apply to other types of photography. Now, yeah, you wouldn't believe it's sunrise, would you? Actually, it was about sunrise 20 minutes ago. Thick fog, love it. Well, actually, it's not thick fog, but it's substantial. So let's crack on. Let's go find some foggy woodland pictures. Okay, so, God, I look terrible. 3 hours sleep does not do me any favours. Voice is quite bassy as well, I apologise. Yeah, anyway, first composition. Now, actually one looks pretty good on the back of the camera, but I think that fog is already starting to lift, so I don't know how long I'm actually going to have down there, to be honest with you. But what we've got, let me spin you around, camera. So you've got this lovely arching tree over here. I think it's a birch. Yeah, I think it's a birch tree. And then you've got these two trees behind it that were just separated by a little bit of mist. And then obviously the further off into the background you go, you've got more mist there. I think I'm going to have to start using trees that are further away to utilise that, because as I say, it appears to be lifting quite quickly. Ah, that proper sucks. But yeah, I've actually got this coming up from the bottom and framed up kind of run along the top of the rule of thirds, no, higher than that, run along the top 2/3 on one side. So you've got those in the middle. So I'm using this one as a frame. Actually, as I say, looks quite nice on the back of the camera. Yeah, I've actually shot it a little bit dark, but that's fine. Soon lighten it up. I want to make sure I'm retaining all the detail. And I've got the circular polarizer on there as well because we had rain consistently all the way through night. It's meant to be a bit warmer today than it was yesterday as well, which is why I thought there might be some fog. So yeah, that's one of the reasons I was checking the Met Office app as well. But yeah, so sacrifices we make. So obviously I've already mentioned sleep, a big disappointing sacrifice for me. I like me sleep. But another thing that kind of ties in with that is time. Now, it's all well and good if you do this as a hobby and you just go out every now and then with your camera and stuff. But when you do it a lot more frequently, you will find that you will end up using a lot of time that you could have been spending with loved ones, or you could have been spending doing other things. So, as you know, obviously I go off doing car camping and stuff, and yeah, it means time away from Mrs. S, it means time away from Layla. I couldn't obviously bring them on a car camping trip. Now, we could book accommodation, which leads on to my next point, money. So, another big sacrifice you will probably find that you make as well is money. So, accommodation, costs, travel expenses, costs, gear, costs. Even if you're just doing this as a hobby and you're not investing massive amount of money, camera gear costs. Yeah, accommodation. So one of the reasons I actually started taking up car camping was to try and minimise costs. If you're looking at 50, 60 quid a night for a hotel, you're looking at 120 quid straight off the bat for 2 nights. Don't cost me anything if I'm car camping. You know, if Mrs. S and I, because obviously we need to let Layla settle, but if we booked like a long weekend esque or 4 nights away, you're looking at 250, 300 quid for 4 nights. Car camping, 0. However, travel expenses are expensive. Ironically, travel expenses are expensive. You know, with the increase in fuel costs and stuff. So one of the big downsides there is that if you're lucky enough to live Peak District, Dales, Lake District, Scotland, fantastic. Me, I live in Cambridgeshire. Not the most interesting place for landscape photography. So the closest of those to me is the Peak District, and you're looking at between just over 2 hours and 2.5 hours. That's a lot of fuel to burn through for one trip, which is why as well when I go car camping I try and do it for 2 nights rather than 1, because you know, if you're driving there and back, the only extra expense you've got is driving around. So yeah, I try and utilise that time. So all right, there's 3 sacrifices we have to make for our art, for our photography: sleep, time, money. And we'll come back and talk about this a little bit more, but I'm going to go try and find a couple more compositions before this fog lifts anymore. Let's crack on. Okay, so next shot, spinning you around. So what we've got is another arcing tree, but it arcs over this muddy pathway. And what I've done, my noggin's in the way, is I've framed it up something like that. So I've got this area on the bottom rule of thirds, and I've got this coming over on the top rule of thirds for those people who are fans of the rule of thirds. But I have utilised it to assist with the composition because it just works. It just works. Now, I've been walking through Home Fen and the conditions just keep on changing. Fog's a little bit denser, a little bit lighter, denser, lighter. Been stood here, it's got lighter, it's gone denser. So hopefully I've managed to bag one of the images. Yeah, happy with them. With the fog. Now what it is there's not actually a lot of fog around this, but as you look off to the distance, as you follow the path down, use the leading line of the path. It takes you off into that foggy area. Almost a slightly eerie feel to it as well, which is quite nice. So, right. Coming back to the conversation we've been having with regards to sacrifices, and it kind of ties into money and something I've already mentioned as well, and that's the travel. Now, obviously Home Fen is quite local to me, so travelling here was a 15-minute journey this morning. Cast your mind back to when I did the snow trip up to the Peak District. If you remember, I said early in the morning that, right, there's just some dogs coming down the path. I'm just gonna line up another shot, almost like mysterious. You probably can't see him, it's probably too far away at the minute. Yeah, I had to leave at a ridiculous time in the morning. And I wasn't even going up for sunrise, but I wanted to obviously utilise the best of the weather. And yeah, 2.5 hours it took me to get there. So I don't use my car that often. Obviously I do for the landscape photography, but outside of that, I don't actually use my car that often. And I still banged 10,000 miles on it between the MOTs. So yeah, be prepared to spend a lot of time traveling for your passions. Be that landscape photography, be it working with models and stuff. You may need to travel great distances, which again, you know, it's a lot of time spent away from home. And you see these sacrifices all kind of really tie in quite nicely. Right, I'm gonna have a look at this image and yeah, hopefully it comes out all right and you guys will see it now. Okay, so walking back to the car now. I just kept following the same path that I was on without diverting too much through the trees, because this fog is definitely lifting. It's now more turning into a light mist, as you can probably, well, you can barely even see it behind me, to be honest with you. I might sound disappointed, I'm really not. My throat is just really croaky for some reason, so I apologise. It's probably the early start. But I did manage to grab a cup of tea while I got my stuff together, and I've brought a travel coffee as well. So I've had half of that on the drive here, so I'll have the other half on the drive back. Got this fantastic travel mug that manages to keep coffee warm for a long period of time. Fantastic. Anyway, so obviously I'm having the mooch back now to, oh, that's that one I took originally, to the car. And I'm going to sign out in a second because I don't think I'm going to see anything else. And obviously if I do, I'll stick it up for you guys at the end. But yeah, there is one last thing that I just wanted to touch on, a sacrifice that we make. And it is really targeted at landscape photography, and that's patience. You will sacrifice your patience. You will become frustrated with landscape photography. Quite often you go out and you don't get anything that's worthy of a picture. You can come down in the most perfect conditions and you just can't find a composition, or you come out and you know your composition and the conditions are rubbish. Trust me, landscape photography is frustrating. Really, really frustrating at times. And you will sacrifice your patience. But a little Mikey bonus here is that stick with it. If at first you don't succeed, try again. Don't make a couple of trips out and just give it up as a bad job. Stick with it and learn the craft. Go back to the video I made at Falling Foss. My biggest landscape photography tip. God blimey, I am tired. My biggest landscape photography tip is practice. And that's what you need to do. So sacrifice your patience, suck up the frustration and get out and practice. Yeah, just thought I saw another composition then. I've already taken that picture. Never mind. But yeah, I'd say I'll keep looking for compositions on the way back to the car, but I don't think the veil of fog and mist is hanging around for much longer. It does appear to be getting thinner as I'm walking still. So yeah, obviously, if you've liked this video, let me just put the tripod down. One of my legs has come loose. If you watched the last vlog about how good the three-legged thing Punked Brian tripod is, I did say that the legs come a bit loose. One of them needs tightening again. It was a little bit loose in that video actually, but not that bad. Anyway, yeah, obviously if you like this video and understand the sacrifices we have to make as a landscape photographer or as a photographer in general, give us the old thumbs up. Also drop some subscribes from down the bottom. Got a little going coastal trip coming up soon, so yeah, hopefully get some more seascapes and stuff from there. But yeah, this is Mike out. Take care and be safe, everyone. Peace.